Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Masters of the Universe, the 2026 movie. I was really hoping that this movie would just blow everybody's mind and make tons of money, this and that, because I'm a huge He-Man fan from back in the day. And sadly, this movie is currently flopping very hard. It has a budget of anywhere between 150 million to 200 million, and so far has only made about 56 million at the box office, and it does not seem like it's gonna make its money. However, Blu-ray and stuff like that is already up for pre-sale, and it's so far the number one movie people are trying to get their hands on. So why are people trying to buy this on Blu-ray and stuff if you're not actually going to the theater and actually watching it? How do they know they're actually gonna like this movie, Now, as for me, do I love this movie? See, here's the thing, right? Since this movie has come out, before it came out, and I watched the trailer was cool. But then the trailer did one thing that made me shake my head like, oh no, don't do that. And that was infuse humor into it. The part where he's trying to grab the sword at the comic book store off the statue, I'm just kind of like, oh, please say you're not gonna make this into a huge comedy or anything like that, because I really don't want to see that. My funny bone is broken. The MCU has broken it. It has not been restored, and so I was afraid the whole movie was gonna be like that, And so, because a lot of these older properties, they just try to make them very comedic so everybody will laugh. I don't know why that is. They just do it. It kind of reminds me of you take an older property like Magic School Bus or Where's Waldo. You introduce either a brand new character or a reinvented character that's female, and for whatever reason, they try way too hard to make her cool and comedic to where she's so over the top comedic, you just cringe and everything. And that's how I was with this movie. This movie is basically a comedy action adventure movie. Heavily on the comedy and humor and stuff. And that really irritates me because I wanted it to be more serious, similar to that of the 2002 series. But I get it. They're basing this also off of the 1980 series. And that series is very cringeworthy. Here's the thing about He-Man fans, right? Now, I'm a millennial, which is shocking because I thought I was Generation X because that's what I was told in high school by the teachers and stuff. And that's literally what we were told. But now I find out I'm a millennial and everything. So it's great. I guess. Whatever. It's I feel like I've been living a lie my entire life. But a lot of He-Man fans, hardcore ones, a lot of us have not watched the original 1980 series since the 1980s and stuff. So in our minds, we have this huge fondness of thinking it's great, thinking it's epic, and thinking it's this and thinking it's that and everything, you know what I'm saying? And if some of y'all are like me and go back and watch it, which I did a few years ago when Netflix, what was that, Revelations show came out, I'm like, wow, this is really cringy and everything. And really goofy. I don't remember it being that way. And so, in my opinion, to base it off of not solely just that, but to be part of the main part of basing it off of that, that was the wrong way to go. They really either should have base this off of Revelations, but make it better because I hate Revelations and stuff. But more importantly, they should have based this off of the 2002 series, which is a heck of a lot more serious, more lore driven. And not only that, but sorry, camera died. But what I was saying is they should have based this off of the 2002 series. It's more serious. There's more. It's more like lore driven and everything. It's more. The characters are more redesigned and to fit more like a modern audience. And the only humor is only for like comedic characters like Oracle or teenage Prince Adam or something like that. Sorry about that, I yawn. And so it's a lot more serious, a lot more darker, and a lot of more He-Man cartoon series are really going in that more like serious, darker tone and stuff. I don't know why this one is trying to basically be like every modern superhero movie you see now, which is very, very overly comedic and stuff. Now, here's the thing, right? Is this an awesome movie? No. But a lot of hardcore He-Man fans, some of them think it is. Because they're still thinking about that old 1980s series, but haven't really truly watched that 1980s series since the 1980s. Is it horrible? No. Don't listen to the anti-woke boys and everything. They're crying and pissing their pants only because like Tila, that Ram dude, and like Man at Arms have all also the Sorceress Lady have all been race bent, and Roboto has been gender bent. That ain't nothing, and I'll get into that a little bit later because that's really not nothing. Don't listen to them. They're crying their eyes out because of like things like that. I mean, they still have their white, muscular, straight guy. I don't know why they're complaining. And they love that. Because they're always complaining about wokeness in movies. And not only that, but the dude's half naked in the movie showing his big, bulging muscles. And they love that. So there's no reason for them to complain. Also, stop listening to the extreme hardcore He-Man fans all like, okay, this outfit's wrong, that hair is wrong, Castle Grayskull is supposed to be green and blah, blah. That got nothing to do with this, right? Now, is it a good movie? Well, yeah. Is it a bad movie? Well, yeah. Now, how is it both a good and a bad movie? Easy. It's mediocre. And when I say mediocre, I'm basically saying that, like, this is really nothing more but a generic modern day superhero movie that checks off all the boxes of things like, is it comedic? Yes. Is it slapstick comedic? Yes. Does the hero reveal himself to the entire world and nobody knows his secret identity? Yes. Is it brightly colorful and everything? Yes. Is there way too much CGI? Yes. Is it MCU coded? Yes. And everything. Like, does it, here's the thing about this movie, right? I don't care what some people are saying. Some people are saying, no, this is not true. It doesn't take inspiration from this. I don't care what they say. When you watch this freaking movie, the first thing that popped into my head was, this feels like Thor 2011, just tweaked a bit. This movie basically pulled a Black Adam. Now, you remember The Rock's Black Adam movie. It was criticized because it copied from other superhero movies. This movie does the exact same thing. And that's what makes it mediocre. That's what makes it generic. There's nothing new that this movie brings, because everything it's bringing has been brought from like other superhero movies. Basically, it's a combination of this. This movie is a combination of every animated He-Man series that's ever been made. And I've reviewed every first episode of every animated He-Man show, not She-Ra, but He-Man, except for the other Netflix show that came out the same time as Revelations. And so go watch that. And so it takes inspiration from all these other He-Man properties, right? But it also copies from that of Thor 2011, the first Aquaman movie, the Wonder Woman movies, and Thor Ragnarok and everything. And I'm just kind of like, why? Why are you doing that? Like, just tell a straightforward story instead of trying to copy all these other freaking movies. In Thor 2011, it copies from the most, which is very, very just lazy. And it's funny because Idris Elba is in both those movies. And I'm just kind of like, why are you copying Thor? And why are you copying the Thor movie that people hate the least? And it, well, before Love and Thunder, that was. I don't get it. This movie is so heavily influenced on that, but it's tweaked ever so slightly so it doesn't feel like a generic copy of it. It also takes a little bit of inspiration from Guardians of the Galaxy and everything. But it also, like I said before, it takes inspiration from that Aquaman movie and a little bit from Wonder Woman. And so much Thor Ragnarok silliness and everything. I'm just kind of like, why? Just make a straightforward He-Man movie. That's all you had to do. Heck, the 2002 series, which is on Amazon Prime, they took it off of YouTube once Amazon got acquired of it. But the first 3 episodes are a continuation of each other. Beginnings, that's the title of it. It's basically an animated movie that tells the origin stories of Prince Adam and how he became He-Man. And it also tells the origin story of how Skeletor face got burnt off and looks like a skeleton and everything. When I say the 2002 series is amazing, and this is coming from a kid who grew up in the 80s, like I'm 43 now, and this is coming from somebody who grew up on the original 80s series, loved that original 80s series, but is man enough to admit the 2002 series is a heck of a lot better. Similar to Ninja Turtles. The 80s was amazing, but 2003 is a better series. And so the 2002 series did so much amazing backstory in that series. And just those 3 episodes that are 20 minutes long, why the heck couldn't this movie do it? Why couldn't this movie give us a compelling backstory to Skeletor, Evil-Lyn, Teela, He-Man, and stuff like that? Because it's 2 hours and like a half. It's 2 hours and a half long. You know, they could have done all that. If an animated movie, animated television show can do that, I know they can do that in a movie. And it's just weird because when you watch the trailer, the first thing I said was, okay, I can already tell you the plot. He's living on Earth, has no idea he's like, He-Man and everything. Somebody comes to rescue him, and he has to fight Skeletor. That is it, but kind of differently. It starts off that he does know he's from Etoria. I can't say it. I can't say the planet name. Etoria. Like, he knows he's from there, you know what I'm saying? And then Skeletor attacks. He gets sent to Earth as a kid, and he's trying to make his way back, only to be rescued, becomes He-Man, and defeats Skeletor. Boom, that's the movie. It's generic as generic can be. And it's basically in the entirety of like the trailer and everything. They basically spoiled the entire movie in the trailer. Way to go, Amazon. Way to go. And MGM. Like, seriously. Like, and when you see that, everybody figured out the movie plot. It's so generic. It's so Thor. You know? And the thing about this being so similar to Thor and Aquaman and all this other stuff is like, with Thor, he's already a god. He's already the champion. He's cocky. He's arrogant. He gets stripped of his powers, taken to Earth, has to find his hammer, meets a bunch of locals, learns what it is to be a hero, gets his powers back, and defeats the bad guy. The problem with the He-Man movie. Oh, also, he has a group of like warrior heroes, and so does He-Man and everything. He-Man and Thor always takes from each other in the comics and cartoons and stuff like that, even though he's supposed to be based off of Conan the Barbarian. But just like with the Aquaman thing and even a little bit of Tron Legacy is like, oh hey look, here's our hero, he's about to die, and then all of a sudden he gets saved by like this female warrior woman and everything, who is either gonna be his ally or his love interest. That's Aquaman right there. And then they have to go back to where, he was born and defeat the evil, and that's Aquaman, Then, like, the whole, his sword of power breaks and shatters. That's so Thor Ragnarok. And it's a little bit of Wonder Woman. And it's all like, no, 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 no. The power is not in the weapon. The power was in you the entire time. Thor Ragnarok and Wonder Woman. I'm just kind of like, no, 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 no. The power is always in the freaking sword. That is how him and his twin sister gets their powers from King Grayskull. It is literally in the weapon and everything. Whatever power King Grayskull had, got infused in those swords, and that's where they get their power from. It's always been like that in every animated series. They even emphasized that and went a little further in Revelations, because He-Man's all like, oh, the sword is just the conduit. I am the real power. And so Prince Adam calls on the power, and what happened? He turns into a savage. That was too much power for him and everything. But no, it's just like Thor. Hey man, the lightning's like inside you. Hey Wonder Woman, whatever that combustion energy thing is, it's inside you and everything. It doesn't come from like your weapon or like your gauntlets or whatever. It's inside you. And I'm just kind of like, I don't, just stop trying to be like them. Like literally just stop trying to be like these other movies and just be yourself. Just take from the inspiration of the cartoons and the comics and the toys and make your movie. Now this is what's crazy. Travis Knight is the one on the left, and he is the one who directed this. Everybody else, these four people, are the writers and everything. And I'm like, it took four people to copy and paste from other movies and slap it onto their movie? That's lazy. Lazy. And not only that, but when I look at these people's resumes, everybody here, except for the very last person on the end, whose name is David, everybody has barely done anything in Hollywood. Barely directed, barely wrote. And Travis, he made the Bumblebee movie, which I still think is one of the better Transformer movies, but it didn't do so well at the box office. That should have taught them a lesson. Like, it should have taught Amazon a lesson. Let's go on down to the dude at the end. When I looked at his resume, I'm like, oh, this explains a lot. He co-wrote some of the worst movies there are. Ant-Man, Wonder Woman 1984, That should have been a big no-no right there. You're not gonna get nobody who wrote that movie to make your brand new movie. That was poison right there. Who else is poison? Jared Leno and everything. This dude is literally box office poison. And it's getting to the point where he needs to realize that and change up his acting because his method acting is not working. For whatever reason, he decided to make Skeletor into like this British sounding Shakespearean type of villain. And I'm just kind of like, it kind of works, but it doesn't. Like, I did not want to hear that 1980 voice, and I did not want to hear Mark Hamill's voice. Once again, the 2002 series did a really good thing. It was silly like the 1980s series, but it was menacing at the same time to where you just didn't laugh. He didn't shake his hands up in the air. He didn't call nobody a boob or nothing like that. He was downright evil and stuff. And they had a very great backstory. He was a blue-skinned, regular-looking alien man. He fought Prince Adam's father. And he threw something at Prince Adam's father. It bounced off the sword and it burnt his face. And he's been pissed ever since, wanting to take over the kingdom and stuff. They couldn't do that here. Instead, he's just a villain who shows up and like, I want the crown and everything. Evil-Lyn, like she's just his hench lady in this thing. And Evil-Lyn, which Alison Brie did a really good job, and I love myself some Alison Brie. She was just a henchwoman. Now, Evil-Lyn has been evolving ever since the 2002 series. She's no longer just that hench lady. She is pure evil. There are times she wants to take over and betray Skeletor, and in some animations, she does and everything. And I'm just kind of like, why can't she just live up to the namesake, Evil-Lyn and everything? Like, make her evil. Just don't make her a henchwoman, you know? As for the Masters of the Universe, they're kind of just there. Like, it's similar to the Warriors of Three. Oh, hey, here are the friends and allies of, like, our main hero. Ain't got no time to explore them or nothing like that, or give them nothing meaningful to do. Let's just have them show up, say something funny, be a little arrogant here and there, and then just fight the bad guys. And just have them look the way they do, like they do in the cartoon. And that's basically just it. And of course, Fisto gets made fun of because of his name, because you know this MCU coded and everything, you know, and it's just kind of like they're just there. Now, there's one woman soldier who they keep showing a lot and have do like a lot of stuff. I'm like, who the heck is this woman? I don't recognize her from the cartoons. And I know she's not a race-bent character who Teela's black friend was in Revelations. She is Wonder Woman's stunt double. So I'm just like, oh, okay. Well, you could have gave some of her scenes to Teela or something. Or He-Man or something. Now, here's the thing. With 4 people writing this and stuff, and you know the director likes to do a little writing here and there, they get to change stuff. And it's pretty sad that this movie is flopping. But you know, there's a reason for that. Now, some of the excuses that I've heard from some people, from the anti-woke people, is it's woke, so therefore it flopped. But you got your straight white male lead, so why are you complaining? And Man at Arms, he's like race bent, and Teela is race bent, and the Sorceress is race bent, and Roboto is like a woman now. So therefore, it's a flop. But no, you got your straight male white lead. This still flop. You can't blame this on wokeness and everything just because they race bent some people. Or just because Adam goes by he, him pronouns, which really pissed some people off. And it was just a brief blinking you miss it type thing at his desk. And you know what I'm saying? But it's like, so you got the anti-woke people complaining about wokeness and why it flopped. Then you have the other side who's not anti-woke and are pretty good people. they're basically just saying, well, Gen Z doesn't know who He-Man is, and there's no cartoon reruns, and blah, 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 blah. So they're not interested in it, and therefore it's a flop. Excuse me, I had to cough. First of all, I am sick and tired of hearing everybody say that. It is okay to say if a movie is not good. It is okay to say if a movie is not written well. It is okay to say if a movie's pacing is god awful in this movie, because it is. But tell the freaking truth, okay? Stop finding logical minor reasons to say why something is a flop. It's the same thing with television shows and stuff. It's like, well, this television show didn't do well and didn't get picked up because, it was just too expensive to make. Some things can just be god awful. You know what I'm saying? Because look at this whole generation, Gen Z thing. Like Star Trek Academy. That was for Gen Z. A lot of Gen Z people really loved it. But oh look, it got canceled after 2 seasons, and the second season hasn't even came out yet. And yes, part of it was because of the budget. It was a very expensive show to make. But it also because from a lot of people are saying it just flat out sucked. It did not feel like Star Trek, and it alienated too much of the fan base and stuff. And people need to consider that. If something alienates from that of the fan base, people are gonna not receive it very well. You know what I'm saying? And I wish people would stop blaming this on Gen Z or, oh, there aren't that many He-Man, this and that. He-Man, the 1980s series, is free on Roku TV. So is the 1990s live action movie that is free on Roku TV. The 2002 series, well, you have to pay for that on Amazon. And as for the Netflix series, the 2 that's on there, you can go watch that on Netflix and pay for it. So it is available and it's on DVD. So people can watch this. There's no excuse why a bunch of green drink clear my toxins out the body young people would not go and see this. If a movie is good, people will watch it. It's as simple as that. It does not matter which decade it comes from. So I wish people would stop using that excuse. Now, here's the thing about this movie. In my honest opinion, Teela is the most accurate out of every other version of the He-Man series in animation I have ever seen. Now, I don't remember 1980, so I'm going to skip that. 2002, Netflix Revelations. She seems pretty accurate in everything. Headstrong, fight, doesn't take no crap. She's very consistent. Everybody else's personality, on the other hand, is slightly different. Either they take from one of the series or they don't, or they just kind of redo them all together. Skeletor Evil-Lyn reminds me more of the 1980s. Man at Arms reminds me a little bit more of 2002. In fact, Man of Arms, dude steals the whole show. The man steals the whole movie, in my opinion. I actually wanted the movie to be just about him. That battle scene, the beginning of the movie, awesome. Idris Elba always brings it, but here's the thing about him. They kind of have to with him, because if not, he's going to complain. One of the biggest gripes he had about the Thor movies was that his character barely does anything. It was bad enough the anti-woke crowd got on to him for being a race-bent character, but his character just kind of stood there, you know what I'm saying, and didn't really do much, and had small battle scenes, and they kept trying to increase his character with each given movie, but it did not work. And I think his character might be dead in the MCU, because he just got so fed up, you know what I'm saying. So every time he's a co-lead in something, He always manages to have something big and impressive to do, like Suicide Squad, to where he's more interesting than anybody else in the movie. And I'm pretty sure that must be in his contract because he doesn't want another Thor fiasco. Now, now, one thing that pissed me off with Man at Arms is when he became a drunk. 15 years later, after failing, he just became a drunk. Even one of the devices on his outfit is a flask. And how he gets out of his funk is not really explained that well in the pep talk and everything, but I did not like seeing that version of him. I get it because he failed and he feels horrible, but give him more of a bigger pep talk. And not only that, but it does feel like sometimes he is the main character of the movie because he steals the whole movie. I think Camila Mendez looks great. I wish her hair could have been pent up like it was earlier, but then after one fight, it gets like cut and then it falls down, and that's how it is in the remainder of the movie. I just would have liked it up a little bit more, just to be a little reminiscent of like the classic cartoon. I love her 2002 look. I wish they could have gave her that with the long ponytail, but they didn't. You can tell by the outfit they went for more of like a Revelations inspired outfit with the pants. Now Roboto, I could care less if it's male or female, but when you look at this thing, it looks male. So to gender swap it is kind of odd. But whatever, it's a robot. He-Man himself, or I should say Prince Adam, because he isn't called He-Man until the very end of the movie. He is the most different out of every character I've ever seen in any incarnation. I have not watched the little kitty show on Netflix. I don't know how he is. But this Prince Adam slash He-Man does not remind me of the 1980s series. He does not remind me of the Netflix Revelation series, and he does not remind me of the 2002 series. He feels like a completely different character. It is not the actor's fault, it is the writer's. This version of He-Man acts like a bumbling idiot. How can I talk right now for some reason? Bumbling idiot, that's it. You know how like Christopher Reeve's Superman is like, like stumbling over stuff and geeky and everything, and it acts like an idiot when he's Clark Kent, but when he's Superman, he is manly and heroic. That's kind of how it is in this movie. The only difference is Prince Adam is Prince Adam all throughout this movie and never really truly acts like He-Man. He is constantly tripping over stuff. He is constantly losing his sword. I get it, he lost it when he was a kid because he went through like that portal and everything. But all throughout this movie, the way he holds his sword, he holds it close to his chest like a little kid and he runs with it. There's so much slapstick humor with this dude. It made me want to scream and everything because it's so MCU coded. And he's constantly dropping his sword. He drops it in battle. He drops it when he runs. Like other people takes it and just steals it, or Tila has to pick it up and run with it because he's gonna drop it again. And I'm like, why are you always dropping your sword? There's so much comedic humor with him, both verbally and slapstick. It's weird. Now, if it would have just been humorous on the Earth stuff, fine. That's the stuff on Earth. But the moment he went to Eteria, or however you say it, and then when he transforms, he should have been this heroic, manly man. And he wasn't. And so how am I supposed to get behind He-Man when he acts like a bumbling idiot and everything? Like, it would have been okay if it was like 2002, where Prince Adam is a teenage, cocky, arrogant boy. Then when he transforms into He-Man, he becomes kind of like Shazam, Captain Marvel, where he's this manly man, wise, very strong, this and that, but he doesn't become that. And here's the thing. Prince Adam, because he doesn't change, he doesn't grow and evolve in this movie. That is the main thing a hero should do. Thor did that in the first movie. And so this hero doesn't bring nothing new to the table because he doesn't learn no type of life lesson. And that is the problem with this movie, because if your hero doesn't learn nothing and becomes that hero, well then what? I mean, he was a child when he left Etruria and everything. And he comes back, and it's just kind of like he's all like, I have the power of a god, and I should defeat Skeletor, and my family's been kidnapped by him, and blah 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 blah. And it's just like he doesn't learn nothing at all, and so I can't wrap my head around this He-Man. Nicholas Galazine, this dude did a phenomenal job in the He-Man movie. He really bulked up for this movie because this dude used to be skinny. Then he bulked up really huge, I can't talk, Christopher Bale style, and then had to slim down and get shredded and everything like that. His He-Man outfit is more gladiator, Greek, Roman inspired than it is barbarian. Kind of that Greek leather, I don't know really what you call it. It's a weird kind of skirt. Wonder Woman took inspiration from this and took inspiration from Xena. I've seen Xena wear this, and that's how his is. I would have preferred like a loincloth that's fuzzy, kind of like 2002, but this works. It just gives off more gladiator vibe than it does barbarian. You know what I'm saying? Sword looks great. The chest piece looks great. The new hairstyle looks great and everything. The dude looks like He-Man. Now, there are people complaining about Idris Elba once again playing a race-bent character. Oh, because he should be white. And Tila, oh, she should be white instead of Latina. And oh, the sorcerer should be white instead of Latina. And oh, Roboto should have been a man instead of like a female. Who cares? I do not want to see a He-Man movie with tons of white people running around. Same thing with the Scooby-Doo Netflix thing coming out. They could have race bent somebody, but they didn't. And it's like I said before, Hollywood is going back to white. I am glad they did not. Now, some people are pissed that like Man-at-Arms and Tila are not related because obviously they're different races. Here's the thing. If you're a real He-Man fan, then you know that Man-at-Arms, sometimes he's the biological father of Tila, and other times he's just the adoptive one. The majority of times he's adoptive. And so here they went for more the adoptive approach, where he's the mentor, adoptive father of Tila. Now, as for the sorceress and Tila, it's never stated they're related, but it's pretty obvious that they are. Every incarnation has them as biological mother and daughter, and both actresses are played by Brazilian women. Now, the special effects, that's where the budget went. It looks pretty good. It looks very Thor-ish and Guardians of the Galaxy. They should have spent more money on practicality because they could have slashed that budget down. Some of the CGI does not look good, however. A lot of it does, but a lot of it doesn't. Cringer looks horrible, no matter what. The way he walks, the way he talks. There's a scene where He-Man and Tila are riding him. It looks so fake. When your director has to defend the CGI in this movie, that's a no-no. Skeletor is also slightly good and slightly bad looking. Body-wise, practical suit, great. That skeleton, that looks so fake. They should have just went with a real skeleton, put it on a person's head, put like a black sheet on the background so you can't see nothing, and call it a day. Now, one thing I completely forgot about is that there's a really creepy scene twice in this movie that has to involve kissing. So when Tila and Adam are back on their home planet, she says she misses him and everything because they haven't seen each other since they were kids. And she starts talking about stuff. So he implies, "Oh, you miss me, so you must romantically miss me." And he starts leaning in for a kiss as she's just talking, and she clearly is not into it. And she jumps back and is all like, "Oh, just like a friend, and a really good friend." And it's an awkward scene that's meant to be taken as humor, but it just comes off as very, very creepy and everything. Here's this dude who literally hasn't seen her since they've been a kid, and he's supposed to be this big hero, and he's leaning in for like a kiss. But then what's even weirder is then there's Cringer. When Cringer hasn't seen Adam in so long, he asks, "Hey, can I lick you and everything?" I'm like, ew. But I know that's how animals like that, give kisses and stuff. But it's just weird. It's like the cat asked for permission to give a kiss, but our hero, who's human, just tries to do it like a creepy dude. It's just like, why write those scenes for? Like, I don't get it. And so, once again, with that, the movie's basically like this. He's on Etoria as a little kid, and he's learning to be a warrior. He has a very stern, cocky little father. He trains with Tila and everything. And so, basically, like, she can beat him in a fight. And this reminds me of that Thor animated movie when they was kids, because Tila is so much like Sif in this movie. Like, it's weird. So anyway, the battle happens and they have to fight. Man at Arms does his best, but like the parents get like kidnapped and they send Adam to Earth 15 years later. Prince Adam is looking for his sword. Dude's been talking about Etoria his entire life and everybody thinks he's crazy, but yet he's not locked up in the mental place. We never see his adoptive parents, so we don't know how he was raised. We know he has a job, but here's the weird thing. Because of all the humor and the silliness, in all these 15 years of being on Earth, he still can't drive a stick shift, but it's for humor. And not only that, but like he's desperately looking for his sword. The movie makes it seem like he's just now looking for it and hasn't been able to find it for 15 years. It's randomly at like a comic book shop and some guy found it. 15 years and drawing pictures and all this and that, and he was not able to find it. Now the movie doesn't really say what decade Earth is in, but it's pretty modern, so even in 15 years, the internet was still the internet, and he should have been able to find it a lot sooner, but they're making it seem like it's just now happening. So he finds it, and he tries to activate it, because I think, what's that monster looking dude? I forget his name. I want to call him Wildebeest, but I think that's not his name. But anyway, Beastman something, I forget his name. The brown, fuzzy looking dude. He started attacking, and somehow when Adam picked up the sword and tried to say the spell, it sent out a beacon and everything. But how did Tila and them hear the beacon, find the beacon, this and that is never really explained. She's the one who comes to rescue him, and it reminds me so much of like Mira from Aquaman. They head back home, and even the portal looks very like Thor, like the whole rainbow bridge type thing. And so he's in Victoria. They go somewhere, find out Man at Arms, and the rest of them are kind of like laying low and everything. Man at Arms is no longer the man he used to be because he failed, so he becomes a drunk. And so, like, they escape from there. He transforms. He fights some of the guards off. And there's a bunch of more fighting, silliness. And he fights Skeletor at one point. Oh, no, wait. His father is being held hostage. And he knows it's a trap, but he doesn't care. He goes there. His father gets hurt. Father dies. He's enraged. Wants to rescue his mother and this and that. the sword breaks and everything, Skeletor somehow goes inside his mind and does a bunch of silliness. And I'm just kind of like, this is just more humor. Like, you would think Skeletor would make the most horrifying images come in his mind, but instead it's just his everyday stuff and him acting silly and wearing suits. And it's just, this movie did not take itself seriously. Do not blame Gen Z. Blame the writers and everything, because they tried so much to make this MCU adjacent and stuff. Only for the sorceress to be all like, hey, the power is not in the sword, it's in you. Somehow it causes him to like reconstitute the sword. He kills Skeletor and everything. But like Adam also gets like stabbed before all that happened, and that's so Revelations, him getting stabbed. He gives himself the name He-Man and everything, and then we get a post-credit scene with Oracle and that of She-Ra. So this is the actress who plays She-Ra. I have no idea who she is, but she looks great and everything. And so she posted this picture, be like, yeah, that's me, and all this other stuff. I don't know if she was supposed to do that, but she did it anyway. Now, why was She-Ra a post-credit scene, never mentioned in the movie, this and that? Well, some believe it's because they're trying to tie it to the 1980s series, where he didn't know he had a twin sister, then all of a sudden now he does. But it has to do with copyright issues, which makes sense. I've been wondering for the longest time why in the 2002 series and why in like the Revelation series and the other series, She-Ra is never mentioned or shown, but Hardak is. I'm all like, why the villain but not her? Well, copyright apparently. So after the movie was filmed and this and that, they crammed her in at the very last second. I mean very last second to film her stuff. Will she be She-Ra going ahead if they get a sequel? Who knows? They could just like found this model actress like right then and there and probably gonna recast later. Who knows? And so, in my opinion, this movie flopped because of the simple fact it's just generic. It brings nothing new to the table. There's way too much silliness and humor, and people are tired of silliness and humor in superhero movies. This is why the MCU is slowly getting more serious, because people have had enough. Some people are not happy with how some of these characters are being portrayed in the movie. It's not their fault. It's the writer's fault and everything for writing them that way. And, that really tells you something. When you deviate from how a character's personality is supposed to be, it irks the fan base. Similar to that of Avatar: The Last Airbender series, the live action one, because a lot of people's personalities were off. And that upset a lot of the fan base and stuff. This should have been a straightforward movie. It should not try to copy Thor or all them other movies. They even started off explaining how the power came to be with these gods and all this other stuff. And it's like, that's so Wonder Woman, that's so Thor. Be your own movie. Do your own thing to where people want to copy you. Don't go copying everybody else. That is what Black Adam did, and that's why it bombed. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.